fresh from Davao para po talakayin ang ating economic situation at magbigay po ng update sa impeachment. Palakpakan po natin, Congressman Sig Ungab.
Thank you. Na-introduce na naman lahat isa-isa, so hindi ko na i-acknowledge. So, good morning everybody and Kong Hei Pachoy, Happy Chinese New Year. I was tasked to discuss the... yes. Okay lang, mag-live. Oh. I was tasked to discuss about the Philippine economic situation and to discuss the status of the impeachment ni Vice President Sara Duterte. So now, nasa House of Representatives pa. So let me begin by giving you a briefing, short briefing about the Philippine economic situation. You know, lahat naman ng negosyo, small or big, government corporations, pinagkalaking government operation, meron talaga yung plano. Kung gagawa ka ng bahay, gumagawa ka ng plano, di ba? Kung ikaw ay magbabiyahe, kung ikaw isang pilot, you make your flight plan, saan ka pupunta, nakaplano yan lahat, consider mo everything. Kung ikaw ay Navy captain of the ship or captain of the ship, so yung direction mo, ginagawa mo yung plan. So ganun din yung ating bayan. The Philippines has a development plan kung saan tayo patungo, saan tayo pupunta. So 25 years yan, piniprepare. Yan yung Philippine Long-Term Development Plan. Ang tawag yan, Philippine Development Plan. Kung saan, doon nakalagay lahat kung anong plano, no? Economic, social, health, nandyan yan lahat, ginagawa yan. Ginagawa yan ng ating economic and socio planners, mga technocrats natin ang gumagawa yan. And every 5 years, in-update yan. Tinatawag naman yan, medium term updating, medium term plan. So, yun yung totoo talaga na situation. Dapat sinusunod natin yung Philippine Development Plan. So what happened in the past 3 years, siguro nakikita nyo at nababasa nyo, hindi na-meet yung targets. The original targets in 2023, in 2024 and 2025 is or was 6.5 to 8% economic growth. Importante yan because yan ang magbigay ng direksyon kung saan tayo pupunta. At saka yung ating target GDP, dyan din naka-base kung magkano at ilan ang kukuniktahin sa ating revenues. So yun yung tax efficiency sa tax effort, dyan yan naka-base sa yung development plan, sa yung GDP growth. 6.5 to 8%. Ang problema for the past 3 years, hindi talaga na-meet yan. Hindi na-meet. 2025, I think, bago nyo lang nabasa yung report, yung growth ng fourth quarter ng 2025 was only 3%. Ang baba. One of the lowest in more than a decade. 3% lang. So yung total growth total growth o development ng GDP ng Pilipinas was only 4.4%. Ang layo sa original target na 6.5 to 8.5, 6.5 to 8%. Tapos ni-reduce pa yung target niya, ni-reduce pa ng ating mga economic planners from 5.5 to 6.5. Kahit sa reduced target, wala pa rin. So, what happened? Actually, bagsak ang ekonomiya. Why? Hindi na-meet ang targets. One of the main reasons, I think, and you know that, is the issue of corruption. Yung flood control issue. And aside from that, Kikita natin yung fluctuations sa foreign exchange rate, paakyat at bababa yung inflation, medyo nakokontrol ng konti yung inflation ngayon, pero yung real inflation sa food inflation medyo apektado pa rin. So that's the real situation. The original plan, 2028, reduce to single digit yung poverty, hindi nami-meet. Alam niyo kung bakit? This is the real situation kung ano nangyari. Meron tayong, sa sinabi po ng Philippine Development Plan, may plano. Ang problema, hindi sinusunod yung plano. Yung ating budget, national budget, yung pre-prepare ng Executive Department, ang tawag niya, National Expenditure Program. I-screen yan, gagawa ng study, scrutinize, at i-approve ng Kongreso. Legislation yan ang kailangan yan, ginagawang batas. Ang problema, pagdating sa Congress, wasak na yung budget. Ang daming binabago. Whereas yung original plan was sinusunod talaga yung Philippine Development Plan. Now, when you start dismantling the budget, let's talk about 2025. Di ba ang tawag natin, the most corrupt budget in 2025? Pati yung mga big ticket projects, i-chop-chop. No? Yung mga projects, long-term funded projects, long-term funded by international development agencies, i-chop-chop din. Nilipat nila sa program fund yung totoong big ticket projects, tapos ang iniwan, pinalitan ng mga maliliit na projects. Ganun kalala ang ginawa sa 2025 budget. If you will notice and if you will remember, last year, as early as January, lumabas na kami ni former President Duterte. Si Vic Rodriguez, ako, at i-expose namin, siniwalat namin sa publiko yung nakita namin na may mga black items sa bicameral conference committee. Yun pala is already a red flag na may kalukuhan talaga na ginawa sa budget. Saan ka makakita? First time in history, nakakita ka ng BICAM report na maraming blanco. There's a pending case right now, the Supreme Court, nag-file natin yun. Pero kahit wala kayo, si Sandico, i-confirm niya yan sa kanyang video na meron ng black items. Si Stella Kimbo, kinaber niya na meron black items, pero ang itinuro niya doon sa technical staff. But I tell you, yung black items na yun, ang dami nun. 20 plus black items. And it really affects the budget. It affects the integrity, it affects the, I would say, the wisdom of the budget. So yung Philippine Development Plan is very important. Plano. Why? Because a leader must have a vision. Look at Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew started from scratch. Yung Singapore, walang natural resources, walang tubig, walang forest, walang mineral resources. But he has a vision. 20 to 30 years from now, I want to come up with an industrialized, improved, high-income, first world Singapore. Yung ginawa niya. His dream was his conviction and he was able to realize it. Dr. Muhammad Mahathir did it also. Yung sa Malaysia ngayon, ganda ng Malaysia. And dapat sana yung Pilipinas, sinusunod natin yung ating vision, yung plan. What we need is a leader na may conviction, may plan. Well, sabihin ko sa inyo, maganda naman sa takbo ng ekonomiya. Kahit ni Pinoy, okay naman. Kahit ni Digong, okay. Dadali lang tayo pagdating ng COVID because walang economic activity. So, because of that COVID, bagsak talaga ang ekonomiya. But 2022, it was able to recover. Nag-recover. Now, ano ba talaga ang importante sa development? I just want to point one thing, education. Education. Because if you remember China was a third world country. When Deng Xiaoping became president, si Deng Xiaoping every year sent 2,000 to 3,000 scholars to the US. Yung mga Chinese scholars niya, pinapadala niya sa US, mag-aaral sila. Doon nag-aaral sa mga big league universities sa US. Harvard, Yale, pumasok lahat, no? Europe. At pag-uwi nila, i-apply nila yung kung ano yung nalaman nila doon sa mga high-tech universities. So, that's where China started its industrialization. Education for the children. Alam niyo ba yung 2025 budget is now still pending in the Supreme Court? Nahabol ng infrastructure yung budget ng ating education. That means, mas inuna pa nila yung DPWH budget kaysa education. Ang masakit, ang dami pang unprogrammed funds na nirelease sa infrastruktura. Karamihan nun flood control. Mas lalo pang nahabol, naiwanan talaga yung education budget. Problem is, bakit pinayagan ni Presidente? Ang gibito niya was only 26 billion, direct veto. Yung sinasabi nila na may billion, 168 billion, unprogrammed funds yun, ibito. Walang pondo yun. Kahit hindi ibito yun, walang effect. So nahabol talaga ang 2025 budget, yung naiwanan talaga yung education budget. So gusto daw nila habulin, I hope, 4th year na ngayon. No? Dapat yung education, tuloy-tuloy talaga yung pag-start pa lang, huwag na huwag mong pabayaan, education and health. Winston Churchill, ano sabi niya, the best investment we can make for our children is give them milk to feed them every day. It's as simple as that. Pero pagbigay ka ng milk sa bata, kompleto yung nutrition ng bata. So, a leader must have a vision. Pag ang leader mo paling-paling, ang leader mo walang strong conviction, walang direction, wala ka talagang pagkatumuhan. Because the leader is the navigator. Pag ang leader mo hindi humahawak sa manibela, wala talaga yan. So, what I mean is, we need a direction. Our economic development goals must be achieved. Dapat hindi pinabayaan ang 3 taon na minorder ng Kongreso yung budget. Because any amendment, any ramification, any diversion of the budget takes it away from the development plan. Kung ginawa sana nila, kung meron man silang ginawang adjustment sa budget, sana tumutupad din. It should be aligned also with the development plan. Pero ginawa, chap-chap yung malalaking budget. Yung chap-chap, yung malalaking flood control, yung Metro Manila Flood Control Project, yung Pasig Marikina Channel, i-chap-chap nila yun. Ginawang maliliit na budget. So, wala ka ng master plan. As compared to big ticket projects na meron yang consultants galing sa foreign lending agencies, sa international development financing organization or agencies na nag-guide. So, grabe talaga. Kaya, baha, left and right. Kasi yung project, walang quality, substandard, at saka wala sa plano. So, the leader must impose his leadership. So, yun yung nangyari. We cannot meet our plans, we cannot meet our objectives. Yung ating GDP growth, hindi natin namimit. Now, it will really take drastic measures para natin ma-meet yung ating objective. Number 1, kailangan susundin yung ating development plan. Because the development plan, yung ating development plan, doon naka-base yung budget. Yung mga budget natin, 2026 budget, ang dami pa rin binago pagdating sa Baykao. So, I tell you, part of the development plan was really to institutionalize healthcare. Kaya nga, ay ating palakpakan ang pagdating ni ating kaibigan, Atty. Glenn Chong, nandito. Kasi kami si Glenn, nandiyan na. Atty. Glenn, dito tayo. So, balikan natin yung healthcare. It is the obligation of the state to provide healthcare. Compulsory obligation yan kasi sa Constitution. Hindi tayo dapat lumuhod sa gobyerno para humingi ng ating assistance. Kaya nga, ginawa yung sin tax law para kumuha ng budget galing sa sigarilyo para ilagay sa healthcare. At pwede kong sabihin yan, ipagyayama ko yan, ako ang author ng sin tax law noong 2020. Because before 2012, bumalik sila ngayon. Yung pupunta ka sa politiko para humingi ng medical assistance. Pipila ka sa bahay ng mayor, pipila ka sa congressman, pupunta ka sa senador, kukuha ka ng guarantee letter. The purpose of the sin tax law is to institutionalize healthcare. Ilagay lahat yan doon sa PhilHealth. Yung PhilHealth, lalagyan ng branches, bawat probinsya, bawat munisipyo, bawat lungsod, para doon na kayo pupunta sa PhilHealth. Para bang Medicare sa US, sa Canada, ang ganda ng healthcare assistance. So, yun yung universal healthcare. I would like to give credit. Pinoy, sin tax daw siya, pumirma na sa universal healthcare, si Digong. Pag nung pinasa yung universal healthcare, si Digong na ang nagpirma nun. Those two laws should be respected. Universal healthcare at saka yung sin tax law. Believe it or not, yung sin tax law na naglagay ng 74 billion sa budget ng 2025 is zero ng Congress. Pinabayaan ng lang din ng Presidente. Well, it's also pending in court. But yung 2024 na ginawa na nila na binawasan yung budget ng PhilHealth, tinanggal yung budget sa government corporation was already declared unconstitutional. I hope this will be also declared unconstitutional because as I have said, it is the obligation of the state to provide health care services. Hindi pwede yung sabihin mo, may zero balance budget na kami. Ilan lang yan health centers, ng government centers. Sa mga urban areas na, Metro Manila, Cebu, Davao, pagdating mo sa mga probinsya, ang maganda talaga yung universal health care. Yun yung purpose ng sin tax law at saka universal health care to. Hindi nila sinunod. So, that's why as Filipinos, we demand that it is the obligation of the state to provide health care services. Nasa plano yan natin, nasa Philippine Development Plan. So, may pag-asa pa ba ang Pilipinas? Kung hindi ma-address yung corruption, wala talaga. At alam mo, bago ako naging politiko, matagal ako mabigyan sa bangko. Meron tayong tinatawag na systemic ba ito or isolated? If you will notice, systemic na ang problema sa gobyerno. Hindi lang isang ahensya. Halos lahat ng ahensya may corruption. Systems and procedure na talaga ang problema. Total, I would say, drastic change ang kailangan sa sistema ng gobyerno. Is it isolated? Kung sabihin mong isolated, one or two, corrupt si congressman, corrupt si senador, corrupt si mayor, corrupt si barangay captain. But when it happened everywhere, system ang problem. So we have to wake up. We need a Lee Kuan Yew mentality. Kasi si Lee Kuan Yew, nakita talaga na yung corruption niya kasi kapon. Nakita niya, sinabi niya, we really have to revise the system. So yun ang ginawa ni Lee Kuan Yew. Yung mga senior na dito, baka matatandaan niyo ba, in the 1990s, bumisita si Lee Kuan Yew dito. Alam mo yung una niya, sabi niya, na-remember niyo noong araw,
PLDT lang ating telephone line. Sabi niya, yung bawat 10 daw na Pilipino, ang siya maghintay makatawag ng telephone call, tapos yung isa naman ang huwa, naghihintay pa ng dial tone. Sa kantsaw na yun, nag-open yung ating telecommunications industry. Meron pa siyang isang sinabi, Filipinos, watch up, because if you do not wake up, Vietnam will overtake you. Where is Vietnam? Na-overtake na tayo ng Vietnam. So, hindi lang Vietnam, overtaken tayo ng Malaysia, Vietnam. Ang worry ko, baka ma-overtake pa tayo ng Cambodia at Bangladesh. So, we have to really wake up. Corruption is the number one. Leaders must have their conviction. Leaders must have a vision. Leaders must be able to implement the economic development plan. At hindi pwede yung nilalaro yung budget. That's what happened in 2025. So more or less, nabigyan ko kayo ng idea kung bakit ganito ang ating situation. Image. Our image as a corrupt country is getting worse. We really need to revive, to change the image of the Filipinos. Sayang yung pinaghirapan natin noong araw. Now let me go to the other topic na binigay sa akin, yung impeachment ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Yung impeachment ni Sara Duterte, merong 3 grupo nag-file sa House of Representatives. Yung February po, 2 grupo. Yung Makabayan, yung leftist group, nag-file sila against VP Sara. Yung civil society group, yung kasama yung paring na dating ating tao, kasama sila doon. Nag-file sila February 2. Then sometime February 9, may nag-file din. No, Akbayan yata. Akbayan. February 9, nag-file sila. So there were 3 impeachment complaints in all 5 sa Office of the Secretary General, House of Representatives. Then yung report na nabasa ko is na-refer na ng Secretary General sa Office of the Speaker. So the Speaker has 10 days to calendar it in the calendar of business. Ang balita ko, baka daw bukas i-calendar na. So pag makalendar yun, i-refer yun sa Committee on Justice. As of now, yun pa lang ang mga signatories, Makabayan, Akbayan, ito pink, yellow, and the reds. Wala pa akong narinig na statement sa mga big political parties. But if you base the numbers, the previous impeachment, they have the numbers. They have the numbers both in the Committee of Justice and in the House of Representatives. Ang maganda lang ngayon is election na sa 2028. Yung maraming pumirma noong 2025 na impeachment na hindi nanalo. Marami rin doon na ang kanilang observation, dahil pumirma sila, bumaba ang kanilang mga boto. Because people who voted for Sara Duterte, the 32 million voters who voted for Sara Duterte, will not like an impeachment for VP Sara Duterte. We have to express our voices na hindi kami papayag na yung binoto namin na 32 million, i-impeach nyo lang basta-basta ng 1/3 vote of Congress. Okay, assuming for the sake of argument na lumusot sila sa Committee on Justice, they did only 1/3 votes sa plenary. We have to raise our voices. Pakita natin na ang taong bayan, 32 million, higher than the vote ni President. Pinakamataas si Sara Duterte na voto in history. Pinakamataas siya ng voto, 32 million votes. Ang tanong, pagdating sa Senado, they need 16 votes to convict her. As of now, yung majority is only 15. may 9 votes and ay minority. Basta hindi na magdadagan yung 15, hindi magkukonvict si Sara or hindi may impeach si Sara sa Senado. So let us support the minority na 9 at I hope madagdagan pa ang minority. Because being in Congress for mag-18 years na ako sa Congress, pang-anim na balik ko na ito. The margin of the minority and majority in the Senate is a thin margin. 15 versus 9. There are 24 senators. So, 4 lang ang bumaliktad, pwede nang mag-change yung majority. So, very thin line dividing them. And you need 16 votes to convict her or to impeach her sa Senado. So, mabawasan lang ng 1 or 2 more, wala na. So, very crucial. At tatandaan natin yung mga senador kung saan sila bumoto. Because some of them are running for election in 2028. At ating nakikita ng election ng 2025, majority pa rin ang Duterte voters dito sa Pilipinas. And we will stand by our votes. Ating ipaglaban si Sara Duterte because we know she has been the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. Kailangan natin lumayo at i-express yung ating mga voices because we are the real majority. So again, titingnan natin yung mga senador kung saan talaga sila bumoto. Kung maglabas ng resources yung Malacanang, katulad ng ginawa last impeachment. Alam naman, kumunalins yun, mag-i-eleksyon, madaming projects binigay sa mga congressman. Yung mga hindi pumirma, 0. Pero yung mga pumirma, marami silang angkap, marami silang tupad, marami silang baib, marami silang infrastructure projects, yung iba naging control pa. So ganun ang nangyari. May mga additional budget na pinamimigay. So as of now, hindi pa naman gumagalaw ang Malacanang. Pag gumalaw ang Malacanang, we will keep our price. Hindi naman pwede masikreto yan. Because yung mga congressman, may mga staff yan. Magpukwento talaga yung mga staff. Yung mga senador, may mga staff yan. So malalaman talaga natin pag gumagawa ng presyo yung executive sa ito. But I think we have to really assert our voices as maisog, as supporters of former President Rudy Duterte. So I thank you, as early as January of last year, sa launching ng maisog, tinawagan na namin ni Mayor Duterte ang daming nakita namin sa budget. 2024 budget and 2025 budget. 2025 budget, yung lumabas kami, Attorney Vic, si Atty. Delvira, ako, si President Rudy Duterte, nilabas namin yung nangyari sa BICAM report. And that is already a red flag, a sign na meron talagang nagpupungan sa budget. Now, unti-unti, ilalabas ko, hindi lang yan. Marami pa. May privilege speech ako na 14 automatic appropriations. Yung automatic appropriations, ibig sabihin nun, example, yung sin tax, 20% of the sin tax will go to the 20% will go to the farmers and 80% will go to universal healthcare. Yung 80% na yun, i-deprive na tayo. And that is in the sin tax too. That's supposed to be an earmark. A GAA, which is a general law, cannot amend a special law, which is the sin tax law, the universal healthcare law. Alam ng mga congressman yan, pero ginawa pa rin nila. So I hope titignan ito ng Supreme Court because automatic appropriations, hindi dapat ginagalaw yan. Katulad ng mga utang, katulad ng IRA, hindi yan ginagalaw. Pero ginalaw niya, 14 automatic appropriation items sa 2025, ginalaw niya. Magtataka ka sa 2026, dahil sa ingay natin, wala na sila ginalaw. So gano'n. What I mean is, wala silang ginalaw sa automatic appropriation. Pero pagdating sa bicameral, yun ang problema talaga natin. Bicameral Conference Committee hanggang ngayon meron pa rin unprogrammed funds. Okay, balikan mo lang yung unprogrammed funds. Yung unprogrammed funds can only be released kung, number one, there is an excess revenue. Number two, kung may bagong sources. At three, foreign loans. Sa totoo lang, wala tayong bagong revenue, hindi nag-exist. Inutang ng inutang, kaya lumaki. Lumaki yung ating budget deficit. Ang laki ng ating budget deficit. Now, you ask me, legal ba ang program? Well, I think it's still pending the Supreme Court. Maraming nagtatanong yan sa kung constitutionally, kung legal ba o hindi ang program ban. Pero I will tell you, ang ating Constitution says, regular budget, which is yung budget na sinasabit ng Presidente, yung National Expenditure Program, at saka yung supplemental budget, dalawang budget, walang nakalagay doon na unprogrammed fund, pwede mong ilagay sa budget kahit walang pondo. Because yung regular budget mo may pondo, yung supplemental budget mo may pondo rin kasi kailangan na certificate ng National Treasury yun may pondo. So, medyo technical kunti yung ating presentation. May pag-asa pa ba ang Pilipinas?
Meron pa!
May pag-asa. Basta may Sara Duterte, may pag-asa pa tayo. Thank you so much and good morning.